Welcome back to the Chinese Medicine Podcast. I'm Marie Hopkinson, and today I'm joined by Amy Forth. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So today we're going to be talking about the concepts of Jing and fertility, and you probably don't even know what Jing is. You're thinking, what the hell is Jing? Well, we're going to answer that question for you. And
you've got Jing.
You do have Jing.
And it's important.
If you're alive, you have Jing.
Yeah.
How much Jing you have might be dependent. You could probably rate your Jing at the end of this at the end of this video. Amy Forth is going to be talking about that today. Amy's a practitioner in Sydney, in this beautiful, lovely Sydney. It's so lovely today. And she is a practitioner and educator, and she's got a real special interest in research around fertility. And so we're going to have a talk about those kinds of things. So we might just start with your background in how you got into Chinese medicine and what kind of study, because you've done heaps and heaps of study since your general Chinese medicine.
I first got into Chinese medicine for, I think, a reason a lot of people come to Chinese medicine is that I had some health issues when I was younger that I didn't really find any answers with just like the normal forms of care. So I started sort of experimenting with naturopathy, acupuncture, and I found acupuncture particularly effective for me for my condition, and I was really impressed with it. So I was always someone who was really interested in health, so I was always going to study something in health. So that was probably when I was about 16, 17. I started looking into whether to study naturopathy or acupuncture, Chinese medicine. I read the first year's textbook of Chinese medicine and I was just absolutely in love with the theory, which is some of what we're going to talk about today. The Chinese medicine theory just kind of blew me away. I've been very interested in Chinese medicine ever since.
Yeah, awesome. And did you study here in Sydney? Or?
I studied in Melbourne. I did my undergrad there. I graduated in 2007. And then I went on to I moved to Sydney about 5 years ago to do a Master's in Global Health because I'm really interested in integrative models of care. I've always been working really closely with other healthcare providers and medical doctors to make sure patients get really great outcomes. So I was really interested in researching how we can do that better. And I'm currently working out at Western Sydney University at NICM, which is the National Institute of Complementary Medicine, working in integrative medicine education.
Wow! So you see patients privately and you work in the research.
Yeah, that's right.
Well.
I do both.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, and so today we're going to talk about your special interest in IVF and fertility and health for women and that kind of stuff. What's probably the main thing that you would tell your patients when they're looking to, I guess, coming to Chinese medicine for the first time for something like that, and they're just maybe they want to have a baby or they want to get healthier towards having a baby or something like that? What would be some of the general kind of health advice you would give those women, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's okay with you if we go straight into talking about the concept of Jing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I feel like that's probably the thing I'd probably speak to most patients about the first time I have a consultation with them, if they're kind of seeking some advice in terms of supporting their fertility with acupuncture and herbs. And often I'm seeing patients who in an IVF setting, because I work at Alexandria Specialist Day Hospital, at the Alexandria Specialist, at the Alexandria Acupuncture Pregnancy Clinic. So they're often about to embark on IVF, which is quite expensive, very resource intensive. There's high stakes emotionally, there's high stakes financially, and physiologically there's a lot of pressure as well. So the main thing I would normally talk to patients about would be this traditional concept of Jing, which is a Chinese medicine word that kind of translates loosely to reproductive essence or essence. And in Chinese medicine, fertility texts go back about 3,000 years, like fertility and gynecology. And that's what I loved about it. That is that you could, when I was studying Chinese medicine, you could open up these textbooks that had been around for thousands of years. And there was a wealth of knowledge about how to treat patients with any fertility issues.
Yeah. So it's not a new problem, right? It's not like it's a new Western problem. It's been around. Fertility problems have been around for a long time. Yeah.
Absolutely, and they've been addressed through acupuncture and herbs for about 3,000 years, which is great to know. Yeah. and conceptually, they have a little bit of a different way of looking at fertility, which I think is really interesting. But it makes a lot of sense when you then kind of transpose modern science over the top of it. Yeah. So,
I think our listeners would love to know more about that. So let's talk about that, Jing, and how those ancient concepts kind of match up with the modern stuff.
Yeah, great. I'd love to share that. So with Jing is like basically a concept which is loosely translates to essence, but it's like your Jing is something. It sort of is how it sounds. Like the word sounds. It is like it gives you like oomph.
Yeah. Okay. Like energy. Would it be similar to that?
Yeah, it's energy, but it's energy that is really deep energy. It's like your deep reservoir of energy that you're born with. Yeah. Like some people will call it like your constitution. So you're born with, your genetics, your constitution, and that's going to give you like your predisposition, how healthy you're going to be, and also your reproductive capabilities. Yeah. So often when people are coming to me, they really want to know how they can enhance their potential, like reproductively. So the concept of Jing is basically when you're born with hopefully lots of Jing. However, it depends on the health of your parents and also their genetics, their Jing, what they're passing on to you, which is important because if you're looking to conceive, not only do you want to be pregnant, but you also want to pass on really good Jing to your baby. You want to give them the best chance that they have as well. So sometimes doing acupuncture is a great way of enhancing your overall health. And when we're looking at this concept of Jing, really important. So Jing, when you're born, hopefully you're born with quite a lot. Yeah, okay. And then
we hope so.
We hope so.
But how do we know? Like how do you know?
Your resilience is often like how resilient you are, how often you get sick, how often you get tired, all these sort of things. It's basically like the way I describe it to patients often is it's like your battery pack. So you're born with like a fully charged battery. And then as you go through life, like you miss out on sleep here and there. And so your body needs to kind of draw on this, like you're stealing from Peter to pay Paul, and you're drawing on this battery in order to kind of keep all your organs functioning, keep all your systems going, and keep them all regulated. Yeah. So a sign that things that maybe you've drawn on your Jing too much or you don't have very much is that things start to become dysregulated, and that can be either you can be not feel so healthy, not feel so well, or down the track perhaps even that can be illness or sickness. So that's a really basic fundamental concept in Chinese medicine. But how it relates to fertility is that your body is protecting you and making sure that you've got enough energy to support the growth of another human being. So your reproductive capabilities, your reproductive system will start to kind of shut down if you don't have enough sort of juice in the tank in this sort of battery pack. So it's really important to know what can help preserve Jing, and what's going to help like really improve your reproductive capabilities.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so like sometimes people might not really have that many symptoms themselves, or they might not think they have any symptoms, but they're struggling to get pregnant. Maybe now starting to go down the road of IVF, and then they come to a practitioner and it's like, oh, you're really, really tired, you're not sleeping very well, your diet might not be so great, and that it's a good thing they're not pregnant in a way, because if they did, they wouldn't maybe have the Jing to have a healthy pregnancy, right?
Yeah, your body just doesn't have the resources. It's just about having enough resources. So So, constitutionally, if you was maybe like born with not so much Jing, that might manifest in you having, if you go and get your fertility checked out, you might have a poor ovarian reserve for your age, or you might have irregular cycles, you might be easily fatigued, these sort of things. And then the things that are going to really help enhance Jing, so I described it sort of like a battery, but you only need to draw on it when your body is under stress. So it's not nutritionally getting what it needs, it's sick, or you're not getting enough sleep, or you're having stress, either physiological stress or psychological stress. Like you're having some stress in your life that is creating more pressure on your system, and it doesn't have the resources from what you're getting through the air you're breathing and the food you're eating and the sleep you're getting. It doesn't have the resources to match that. So then it needs to kind of tuck into that battery pack and draw from it. So really what we're trying to do to enhance fertility is actually enhance your overall health. And what Chinese medicine does when they're talking about balance, they're actually talking about improving like the efficiency of how the organs and the systems work, so they can work as efficiently and effective as possible, so you can maintain really great health, you can maintain really great balance. So from a Chinese medicine point of view, we think it's really important that you first, promote really good health, and that in turn is going to help with your reproductive capabilities.
Yeah, right. So would you consider really good health? Like how would people promote really good health? What kind of stuff should they be doing?
Well, some things you can do to help promote like good fertility, like often people would say, to keep away from toxins. Yeah. So have a really low toxicity in your environment and in your diet. So things like organic foods, also things like, keeping away from cleaning products, also just like the really obvious ones like cigarettes and alcohol, they're all going to put more of a toxic load, which means different organs in your body are going to have to work harder. Thus, you're going to be like relying on this Jing and depleting it.
So the Jing's like the battery pack that's the reserve battery that we're not using all the time.
Yeah.
And so if your diet isn't so great, then your body's sort of like consuming a bit of the Jing, and all the meanwhile the person's like, oh, I'm okay, I'm keeping on going.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they might have all these fertility kind of.
And also in our, I think in our Western society, we're kind of like, we push ourselves pretty hard. Yeah. Like we expect a lot of ourselves. And I think women now, they don't know, it's no longer the 50s. We don't stay home and just look after children. We go out and we work and we're, that's great. But then we get to our 30s or 40s and think, I really want to have a family. And we've just been pushing our bodies really hard. And then we kind of turn around and go, could you now create a human? And we're sort of asking for something, or asking physiologically quite a lot of our body. So just sort of recognising that and that, as women and men, that for their reproductive potential as well, it's really important that we keep good health. And acupuncture can try and kind of enhance how everything's running, as do kind of hers. But that's kind of at the core of what Chinese medicine's trying to do.
Yeah. So the core of the treatment when you go and see a practitioner, a herbalist or an acupuncturist for fertility in TCM is like checking that Jing and making sure that seeing how that's going and working on that.
Absolutely. Like I think Jing's one of the key things that you're looking at with fertility, but there's a whole bunch of other things, and there's a whole lot of imbalances that might be occurring that your practitioner might be working with you in order so you don't start drawing on your Jing, because that's kind of creating an imbalance and a stress on your body. I guess one example I'd really like to share that I think really helps illustrate Jing is the example of athletes or female athletes, which most people are quite familiar that female athletes have to work really hard physically. And physically they're kind of putting a lot of pressure on their bodies. And in turn then they often will stop menstruating, like their reproductive function, like they no longer have the resources to fuel that. And so while I'm not suggesting that it might have even got to that point, but maybe on more of a subtle level, when you're working hard or exercising a lot or not getting enough sleep or having stress or not having nutritionally a great diet, all of these things can contribute to you not having enough Jing and not supporting your reproductive function, because it's one of the first things that your body wants to shut down if you don't have enough resources.
Yeah, it's a protective mechanism for you as a person, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Keep you healthy.
Yeah. And so I think it's great that there's these ancient traditions like traditional Chinese medicine, as well as Ayurvedic and other traditional medicines that know a lot about how to keep us well and how to keep us healthy, and that's so important, I think, for reproductive health.
Yeah. So I guess the side benefit if you go to a practitioner for fertility stuff is you are going to get healthier. Like you're going to get your patterns of disharmony sorted out. Yeah. Before that we can get into that Jing issue, like your body's going to feel healthier. you're going to feel better sleep and better.
Absolutely. And patients which come into the clinic, they just always comment how relaxed they feel and how good they feel and how their anxiety levels have come down. And just overall how they just feel like they're enjoying life a lot better when they start embarking on treatment, which is, you know, a great side effect of, and hopefully we're working with them to also kind of create like a really, you know, a really healthy pregnancy. That's of course the awesome end goal.
So we're going to talk more a little bit later on, and for the people listening and watching, we'll probably publish that as a separate video about the research related to treating IVF with, not treating IVF, but supporting IVF with acupuncture. And because that's another question that's sort of probably popping into your mind, like, well, how often do I need to come, and how, you know, when do I need to do all this, and how much do I need to do, and how long do I need to do it for, and all that. So we'll get into that in a little bit. And so I guess my next question for you would be, just while we're talking about the Jing and the essence, like, what would you tell patients? Like, are there particular things that you find yourself telling every patient, like the toxins in the home and these kinds of things that you tell people to do, that they could just do to preserve their Jing and help keep their Jing healthy?
For sure. I mean, often I'll be working really integratively, so I'll be looking at all their blood tests, and I'll be looking a lot at what is actually going on, like, biologically in their body, and trying to make sure that we're addressing anything that's out of whack. And often I'll refer to naturopaths because I really believe in, like, good nutrition.
So it's individualised for each person, right? Like,
absolutely.
What advice you give them.
Absolutely. But I think trying to conceive is fairly, and particularly if you're undergoing IVF or fertility treatment, it can be really, really stressful. And not to underplay that, you need supports. And sometimes these can be supports just like listening to meditations or going to yoga, but making sure that you kind of, like, often I think fertility issues get people to really kind of address what's sort of out of balance in their lives, and then often in their work-life balance. And so, you know, sometimes that means making a bit more time to, you know, go for a walk with your dog, or make dinner with your partner, or whatever brings you joy, you know, creating a bit more space to kind of bring, to have a bit more joy in your life. And I'd probably say that's probably my number one fertility tip, because it can actually sometimes feel like a bit of a job for people, on top of them working very hard and, you know, having really big, busy lives, and then trying to create, you know, create a family.
And
it's another pressure
for people as well. They're like, oh, I've got to go home now because we're on...
got
to do it now.
It can be be stress in there can be stress in the relationship as well, because often, you know, there's a lot of the connections just around trying to create a baby. After a while, I think, you know, at the start it's fine, but I think the longer it goes on, the more stressful it can be for people. And so I think that's when it's really important to get some support. I mean, I think acupuncture and Chinese herbs and things is a great support, as is naturopathy, but also just doing all that diet and lifestyle that you can do to really support yourself, and not underestimate how stressful it is, because there's been studies that have suggested that people who undergo IVF or fertility treatment, they have the same psychological stress as people who are undergoing cancer treatment, which is huge. So to really kind of go, oh, actually, exactly.
You don't have a terminal illness. You don't have that threat of death, but you've still got this massive stress there.
It's almost like there's a chronic health kind of condition going on, but just being really kind to yourself and making sure that you kind of, you know, you're trying to access all the supports that might be really helpful for you, whether that's counselling or just seeing your friends more often, or going to the movies, or like there can be so many things that work for different people. But I guess to, you know, just you know, to realise it can be stressful business.
It's a great point. And like, I've noticed sometimes when I've treated patients in this situation that the supports that they normally would have maybe aren't there because they want to keep it secret. They feel like, oh, I don't want to tell everyone, which is fair enough, it's your prerogative. But that would be the buddy that they would talk to those things about. And because they're not going to talk about that, there's more stuff they're holding in. So, maybe they need to... and it's a great point that you mentioned about it's an opportunity to assess, your life, because it's like lights being shone on, oh wow, I'm so busy and I don't even have time to cook for myself or sleep properly, and I'm running around, you know.
And why haven't we conceived yet? You know, why haven't we? It's like body just giving you a little, like little tap on the shoulder to say we need a little bit more help. Need a bit more help.
It's kind of intermingled in that beauty of Chinese medicine of like, it's that observational system. It's a system that's meant to be in the flow of life, and we're meant to be in the flow of nature. And I've done quite a few talks on this channel about that, and about, like, you know, how our society just doesn't promote that at all now. Like, it doesn't promote us in the flow of nature. We have to go at a certain other pace.
That's true. And I guess the other thing which you talking about that just made me think of is, like, from a Chinese medicine perspective, like, we're looking at, you know, energy flow, you know, qi, but we're looking at how that is, like, you know, coursing the body. And often what we'll be doing with fertility treatment is, like, we'll be trying to encourage more energy flow and blood flow to the ovaries, the uterus, the reproductive system. But also in Chinese medicine theory, there is, like, a very strong connection between the heart and the uterus. And we're, like, you know, often working on this extra meridian, which runs down the centre of the body, that goes through the uterus and also the heart. And we're working on that, and it's called the conception vessel, to kind of really kind of encourage there to be more energy and more blood flow in this area. And in Chinese medicine, the heart is, yes, it's like the organ pump, but it's also, it has more of a, has a wider, I guess, there's a wider concept around what the heart is, and the heart is seen to also be the mind. So the connection between the uterus and the mind in Chinese medicine is there, and one can influence the other. So often when my patients are waiting to find out whether they're pregnant, asking them to do things which is going to help move the energy in their heart, which is in turn going to help move and keep, like, really good circulation in their uterus.
That's a good point.
And in the heart, like, the emotion is joy. So we want to get them to do things. I'm like, watch comedy, please just watch comedy. Do things you find that are fun. Like, I want you to put something in your diary every day, something that gives you joy, you know. And also it's a great stress relief when you're anxiously waiting to find out the results, whether you have conceived this month. So I guess that would be my other tip is, you've got to schedule some fun in your diary. And it's fun homework, literally fun homework. Because it can, as you said, like, people are often, it's a really private issue trying to conceive. So often, like, you know, we kind of want to like kind of hide away a little bit and not talk to people about it, and we just want to kind of not try not to think about it as much as possible, but that can kind of constrain our energy a little bit, and we want to keep it nice and free flowing.
It's hard. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because people, you can understand that you want to keep it private and keep it to yourself, but then that just what you're saying, like, it's keeping that energy to yourself, and where's that going? And then it's causing all this stress. And
I'm a massive advocate of people seeing counsellors, because, you know, that they're paid for you to sit there and tell them everything you're worried about, and they're going to help you unpack that and process that. And I think we all feel, when we've got a lot going on in our lives, telling our friends we don't want to burden them, and we get to a point where we're like, I'll stop talking about it. But, you know, when you get some professional help, it can be different. Not that you can't talk to your friends, they can be great as well.
This has been awesome. This is great advice for people. And so sometimes I think there's so many great things. That's why I started this channel, really, because so many great things that Chinese medicine have that are so simple, and you just do them day in, day out. As a practitioner, you forget about how great they are, and it's simple advice. It's really good, and it's really powerful, and it works. Cool. That's been so helpful. So we'll put all the links to these things below, so you can kind of look at that, and you can jump onto Amy's blog and see because you update that with new stuff that's coming in. Stuff, right?
Our website's a great resource for anyone who wants to do some research.
And
we've got some blogs which are really just kind of like putting it all together for you, because not everyone wants to kind of look through all the different studies.
So you break it down a bit easier for the average Joe to kind of look and see.
That's right. And so, I'm the director of the Acupuncture Pregnancy Clinic in Alexandria, but Jane Littleton is the founder of the Acupuncture Pregnancy Clinic. We've got 5 clinics throughout Australia. And Jane Littleton is known in the IVF space. She's a pioneer when it comes to kind of integrative fertility, and she authored the book called Infertility and the Use of Chinese Medicine, which is used as a textbook for Chinese medicine degrees all over the world. So she's the founder, and she has trained everyone, all the practitioners at the Acupuncture Pregnancy Clinic. So we're really lucky to have her as a resource.
And she comes, mentor.
Yeah, she's great.
The textbook as the mentor.
Oh, that's right. We have her as, and she was a geneticist, a scientist to begin with. So she came from a science background into Chinese medicine. So she really brings that kind of integrative approach, which I love, and I love working with her. So we're really lucky to have her. So she's the founder of the Acupuncture Pregnancy Clinics. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Well, it's been so lovely to talk with you today, and I'm sure our listeners and watchers will really enjoy this content. This is super informative, so thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been wonderful having an opportunity. I just love getting Chinese medicine and acupuncture research and information out there for people. So thank you so much for doing these podcasts. What a great idea. They're wonderful.
I love it. I love talking.
It's been great. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Oh, cool. And so if people want to find you, so you're in Sydney, we're in Sydney now.
Yeah.
How would they find you if they want to see you as a patient? Or
sure. I have 2 clinics. One's Amy Forth Acupuncture. So they can look up my website, which is amyforth.com.au, and the other clinic is in Alexandria at Alexandria Specialist Day Hospital, and that's the Acupuncture Pregnancy Clinic Alexandria. We've got several clinics, and you can look up the website is acupuncturepregnancy.com.au.
Yeah, no worries. We'll pop the links to all those things in the description below somewhere in this video.
Awesome.
See that? People love clicking. Click on the link.
Yeah.
And while you're there, click on the link to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Make sure you click that notification bell so that you don't miss a video from us. And if you've got a question, pop it in the comments. If you've got something that you'd like to ask about what we've talked about, and I'll attempt to answer it. And I might hit up Amy if I can't answer it.
Sure.
Because we just love hearing people's questions, and that's how we come up with the content for this channel. Like most of the time, people put their comments in there, and they ask questions about what they're interested in. And so, that was wonderful. And so, people can find you at your 2 amazing clinics in Sydney.
Great.
And thank you so much for being here and giving up your time to do this.
It's been great.
Yep,
Thanks
awesome.
so much.
All right.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.